All right, welcome to Season 3, Episode 7, also known as Episode 79 of the Retro Game Club podcast. I'm Hugh, and joining me live from Cancun is Rob.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know how to respond to that one. Obviously, not true.
Not true, no.
But, yeah, it's still cold in the Midwest, but not as cold as Texas, I guess. And, yeah, shout out to all our listeners in Texas. We feel for you. Yeah, I know Burger Becky and Nate both live down there. And I'm sure we have a few more listeners down there. So we hope you're all doing well and wish you the best.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking about this a lot because here in Chicago area, there's gonna be some people who want to like use this as an opportunity to dunk on Texas, I guess. But the reality is like homes in Texas aren't built to withstand 0-degree weather. Like a home in Chicago isn't built to withstand a hurricane storm surge
or an earthquake. Yeah.
Or an earthquake, right? Now at this point, I wouldn't rule either of those two out as happening here. So yeah, clearly, pipes aren't insulated and, the infrastructure is not meant to handle prolonged 0-degree weather like it is out here. And why would it? It wouldn't make any sense prior to a week ago to do that. And it's a really horrible situation. Like if your pipes freeze and burst, that's terrible. And you're going to be without water for some amount of time, a week, let's say. But if like your entire neighborhood is like that, now it's a humanitarian issue.
Yeah. So we hope everyone's doing well down there. But on to hopefully brighter stuff. What have you been up to?
What have I been up to? Well, I found out that archive.org has an archive of many, if not all, Starcade episodes. I talk about Starcade very favorably on the show. So in the background for the past week, I've been attempting to download them because you can, I guess you can do a direct download. Maybe that's faster, but I just linked to the torrent. But there's like 2 seeders, so it's just been kind of running in the background forever.
What is it? One torrent or is it one per file?
It's one torrent with everything, and then there's like one episode that was lost and somebody found that's a separate torrent.
You'll have to link me to that because I can only find them per episode. So I'd really like that'll really simplify my life. If you
well, here I'll put it in the show notes if I can remember where it is now.
Perfect.
Starcade TV show. Yeah. It doesn't show up if you search Starcade on the what do you call it?
The archive
search box.
Yeah.
The actual search box doesn't show up. I think I found it by searching for Starcade, and then I got to like a Reddit page that had a link to that.
Nice.
Yeah, really bizarre way to get to it. So I was watching some of these Nintendo announcements this past week. I assume you watched all those too.
Yep.
I have some thoughts about a couple of them. There was something called Capcom Arcade Stadium. Mm-hmm. That seems like the worst deal of all time.
Yes. Yep.
So you buy the arcade stadium, which then lets you buy the games. Is that right?
I think so. I think that is correct. You get some with it. There was another one that I think Namco or something did where...
Yeah, Namco does a similar thing. Namco does packs of games. And then Sega sells remastered versions of their games for like $4.99 a piece, which for some reason seems better than like I'm paying $7.99 to get Ghosts and Goblins.
Yeah, it's almost like you're buying the Namco store that you could go into. Like it's a Namco store app, but in this case, I guess Capcom store app.
Yeah. But I mean, I have like collections of these games on PSP that I got for $10. It's like 30 games.
Yeah.
So I guess they've now realized they can charge more. Speaking of charging more for something you already have, the Skyward Sword remake looks kind of interesting. I like that they have an option to get rid of motion controls, although instead you're using the right analog stick to control the sword, which still not awesome, but I think better than the motion controls.
So in the Wii, this is one of the few Zelda games I haven't played. So I pre-ordered this.
Okay.
In the Wii, was there a non-motion option?
No, absolutely not. And it really wouldn't have worked because the way you fight a number of enemies, like enemies will have weak points, and you either have to like do a horizontal slice or a diagonal slice or a what's up and down vertical slice.
Okay.
So a lot of fights are sort of premised on you do that, but having the analog stick I think is going to be an improvement because even though it used the Wii Motion Plus, which is like more precise controls, there are a lot of times I'm trying to do a horizontal slice and instead Link is doing a jab. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like there are a lot of times it just doesn't do what you want it to do. Like early on, you get a thing where you can charge your sword by holding it just straight up in the air, and there are so many times I could not get that thing to work. And you look like an idiot doing it too. So, I mean, I look like an idiot kind of anyways, but just it didn't help.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, like Skyward Sword, I would say could be a really great Zelda game. There's just a few kind of broken, bad things in it. There are some really good things too. And overall, I enjoyed the game. It has one of the best soundtracks of the entire series. Has really great dungeon design. Some of my favorite dungeons in the series are in that game. So despite the whatever shortcomings there are, it's still a really, really good game. So I pre-ordered that too. So I will be getting that in 4 months.
Something like
June?
that. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. So overall, really, I'm actually excited. I know I just spent a bunch of time ripping Skyward Sword, but overall, I did like the game a lot. I did not do like a second run. Most Zelda games I've played through at least twice, and this one I have not yet. And then I'm still playing East 9. I don't know, maybe I'm halfway. I think I'm like 60% through according to the journal.
Do you know what chapter you're in?
I think I just started chapter 7. Just like I started last night, and then I decided that I'd need to go to sleep. And just sort of one random observation, like one of the background songs is almost identical to a song, another Falcom game, Trails of Cold Steel 2, and the song's called Wintry Arrival. It's on Spotify and that kind of stuff if you want to listen to it. But it's where it's like the same song in both. Not exactly the same, but it's 80 to 90% identical.
I mean, these guys have been doing this since the late 80s, right? Early 90s.
Yeah, it's different sound composer. I mean, the sound team changes over time, but I believe between like Trails of Cold Steel series and East 9, it's mostly the same sound team.
Yeah, I kind of don't blame them. It's a lot of songs.
It's a lot of songs, right? There's 60 songs or something on each game. You know, the Spotify albums are split into 3 discs, or 3 albums, whatever. I guess it doesn't make sense to split things into discs anymore. I don't know who's buying physical CDs at this point.
Good point, yeah.
Maybe for your car?
Or it's a pack,
Right.
like a Namco pack.
Right. That's all I can imagine. I still have a CD player in my car, but I don't think I've ever put a CD in it. That's about it for me. What have you been up to?
Let's see. Yeah, I was going to mention pretty much all the same things you were going to mention. I'm in, I think, the last chapter of East 9. It's a pretty long game. I feel like it's definitely longer than the earlier games. Or I'm just not good at them, and it just takes me forever. I have some predictions that are probably not going to happen, but I'm going to go ahead and say East 10 will be like an ongoing open world game, probably online.
No, the developer has never done a game like that. Or
Exactly.
Even remotely close to it.
That's why I feel like it's time, not for us. Now, I'm not saying it's something we want. I'm just saying it's, they'll probably feel like it's time to change it up, maybe do like a Final Fantasy 14 type thing. Or they'll do East Book 1 and 2 remake, like Final Fantasy 7 remake. So those are my predictions for the next 2 years for East. And because of the Nintendo Direct that we just watched, I'm going to say, this summer is Zelda's 35th anniversary. So I think they're going to do something similar to what they did with Mario, kind of a 3D All-Stars and maybe like a Zelda Maker type thing. So those are my predictions. So we'll see how good or bad they are. Other than that, I literally just beat Mario Sunshine minutes ago.
Okay.
And my nerves are a bit rattled. I understand the frustrations with that game. It's a very frustrating game. I'll leave it at that.
So I'm looking at Falcom's job openings right now, which, with the help of Google Translate, they are not hiring anyone to do
For online
games. They're mostly looking for recent college graduates that want to do programming. It appears.
They want cheap labor.
Yeah, well, let's face it, game development is notoriously kind of grindy work.
Yeah.
And they also would like mail order and user support if you just want to be like working in their mailroom.
It's a good foot in the door there. That all in Japan?
Yes. Again, I'm counting on Google Translate getting this right.
I would be the least qualified mailroom clerk for a Japanese company in Japan.
Okay, yeah, for sure. For sure, yeah.
What else? Do I have anything else here? Oh, I just want to give a shout out. We have a lot of new listeners. So, yeah, just a kind of recap of the show. It's episode 79. We started this, 3-ish years ago? I mean, we're in season 3. But it's a game club that each of us pick a game for our listeners to write us in. And we talk about the next episode. And we also go through some retro news, and every once in a while we'll have a topic or interview of the episode, which it really just depends how busy we are or how creative we are.
Right.
No Patreon or anything like that, so we're not making any money off this. We're just doing it for the love of the games, and really an excuse to talk about retro stuff once-ish a week. So yeah, I think that's all the housekeeping stuff. We don't have that much news this week. Should we just get right on with it?
Yeah. I mean, most of the news this week came in the form of Nintendo Direct, where I think everyone was probably expecting Breath of the Wild 2 or something. But what they did announce, I was actually, overall pretty happy. Looks like a lot of good stuff coming. My kids were especially happy about Splatoon 3 being announced.
I'm excited for that. I don't like online games, but I like Splatoon for some reason. Maybe it's because we don't have to talk to each other in that game. It's just, it might as well be AI for all I know.
So let's see, news. One of the oldest internet memes turned 20 this week. And that is the "all your base are belong to us" meme. If you can remember back to the year of 2001, right before the .com crash.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're related. But, oh, wait, was this after the .com crash? The .com crash was 2000, right?
Yeah.
It was fall. Yeah, I'm off by a year. I get 2000 and 2001 kind of seem like 1 year to me. I don't know why. I think maybe you're expecting life to be different after the turn of the millennium, and it really wasn't.
I was definitely expecting that.
And then nothing happens. Yeah, so it was March 2000, it's the .com crash. So I was off by a whole year.
I recently watched this whole music video this morning. So the younger people that might not remember this, there's a game called Zero Wing. Yeah, I'm sure we have 1 or 2 listeners that might be younger. There's a game called Zero Wing that in its Japanese version, it has a lot of English. And the English wasn't very good. And, or was it the UK version? I forget. Whatever.
It's the Sega Genesis translation. There's multiple translations of the game. The Sega Genesis one is the particularly bad one.
Okay. And he says all your base are belong to us in it. And some guy made a little music video out of it. Pre-YouTube and all that stuff. And it's very impressive.
True. YouTube would not be invented for another 5 years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's very impressive. This thing must have taken the guy forever. Yeah. If you've never heard of it or you haven't seen it in a while, check it out in the show notes. Makes me feel old.
I think the Wikipedia entry on All Your Base or Belong to Us is longer than the Wikipedia entry on Zeroing.
Probably, yes. Yeah.
I haven't
Yeah,
done a word
Zeroing
count yet.
is a mediocre game, I would say.
Yeah, it's an okay shooter. It was an arcade game that was ported to Mega Drive and PC Engine CD, which I don't believe ever got a US release. So the Genesis might be the only official English translation that's out there. There could be fan translations that I'm not thinking of. And I don't remember it being a big release. Like, I don't ever really recall seeing it in a game store.
It just felt like there were 100 games like this. You know, it wasn't groundbreaking in any way possible.
Right. There was a lot of Genesis shooters around the same time.
Yeah.
Let's see, how much do you think Zeroing goes for? US version, I think, goes more than the Japanese version.
I'll say $19.
Yeah, you're about right. Yeah, you can get a loose
Nice.
cart for 15. It's in some weird no, that's a Mega Drive version. Yeah, US version's like 15.
Yeah,
It's a pretty
that's
ugly cartridge, too. It's
not too bad.
There is a UK version that goes for a lot more for some reason.
See, for some reason, I thought it was the UK translation. I thought the American port was updated to have better English, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I would assume it's the same script. And was probably obviously not translated. No one that spoke English was involved in the translation.
That's a given, yeah. Our next item is more of just a forum chat online. It's on a website we go to a lot, nintendoeverything.com, and it's just a pretty much what dormant Nintendo licenses do we want to come back? And I would say that some of the top ones are 1080 and F-Zero, which kind of surprised me.
Okay. I mean, Kid Icarus is kind of... That's one people name a lot, because you get like one game every 15 years or something, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Some people mentioned Star Tropics, which I really didn't like.
Advance War.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that was a Nintendo or from Nintendo. Anything else good in here? So, I mean, that's a good question for our listeners. Yeah, please shoot us an email at retrogameclub.net. What Nintendo, franchises would you love to come back that haven't had anything in a long, long time?
Yeah.
What else do we have here? A very long article on GameIndustry.biz, which is actually a pretty reputable website. A lot of people think the .biz websites are kind of garbagey, but this one's pretty good. This is Super Metroid knew how to tell a story and set a mood. That's why this guy loves it. And it's a not too long write-up that's pretty much a review of not the actual game, but what they got right about it.
Yeah.
And it's pretty right on. I definitely suggest a quick read of this, and it has the original trailer for the game, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think I've mentioned a few times, this is a game I replay, every other year or so. I replayed it last year. I think it holds up really well. I think it does actually do it. It does tell a story without having any text outside of the intro.
And it really guides you to the next area well without forcing you that way. It kind of makes you want to go that way,
Mm-hmm.
And obviously a great soundtrack and beautiful graphics. What it's really known for.
And if you play any, like, the 3DS Metroid Samus Returns, it's going to seem like an incredibly easy game after playing that.
Huh. I didn't find Samus Returns to be that difficult on 3DS.
Oh, yeah, I really had a hard time with it. Because there's a lot of timing base, the whole, like, counter mechanic it has.
Yeah, the parry thing, yeah.
Yeah, like, I had a hard time getting that timing right. And the original Super Metroid doesn't have anything like that.
Yeah, yeah. Restored Dreamcast is a Sega fan's dream come true.
So this is Hackaday about, I don't know if restored Dreamcast is the right term here, because it looks like they are replacing the optical drive. I mean, this is like a full, gutting the Dreamcast and mostly using the innards to run a Dreamcast emulator.
So yeah, it definitely has a GDEMU or one of those SD card upgrades, but it also has, he cuts out, well, first of all, it gets a whole new paint job, so it's a bit more metallic, and it looks pretty sleek. You could see it in the video here. But he also cut out a little hole in the top and put this little Raspberry Pi type device that has a built-in screen, so when you turn it on, it animates the Dreamcast swirl logo. It's really nice. But he definitely could have taken this a bit further.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't, but I suppose there's more you could do. It's a pretty cool mod, regardless. I kind of feel like it's one of those things like you spend a lot of time building it and then you never play it.
Oh, totally. I mean, and they end the article with saying one of the things he didn't do, which I forgot about this, is one of the difference between the Dreamcast and the Naomi boards are the RAM. And so you can double its memory to 32 just with a chip swap. I mean,
yeah, I think we talked about that a few episodes ago. And outside of like some homebrew releases, I don't know how much it helps.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if you can, I don't know. Like you wouldn't be able to play Naomi stuff because those are cartridge type things. So yeah, who knows? Who knows what it actually helps? Oh, this is an interesting one. This is on Polygon.com. In the 80s, she was a video game pioneer. Today, no one can find her. Did you get a chance to read through this one?
I did, yeah. It's about a developer. I'm going to go with Tran.
This looks right, yeah.
Yep. And worked on a game called Wabbit, not Rabbit. I intentionally mispronounced that. Is small release, but still early developer, and I guess some people have tried to interview her and have not had any success tracking her down. I assume they went on LinkedIn. There are like 100 people by that name on LinkedIn, so it's obviously a very common name, and it could be that it was not a real name. I don't know how much they thought about that, just because game developers didn't always use their real name in games early on. Or it was just a job and they don't really care about video games that much, which is my guess. Like, have you ever worked on like packaged software before? Like, software that gets like put on disk and shipped out to a client?
Yeah, only to one client, not like to like stores or anything.
Okay, yeah. So this is not to stores, but it went to multiple clients. So like, I worked on software in the late 90s, early zeros. .com crash put that company out of business, so that's why it seems like I should know the dates a little better. And the company, like the IP for the company got bought and sold a couple of times. Like we got bought out by another company, who then eventually got bought out by IBM, and I don't know, maybe IBM is holding on to the copyrights and patents for lawsuits. I have no idea what became of the company really, other than it ended up being owned by IBM mostly. And once, it's been 20 years, and pretty reliably once a year, I will get like an email from a headhunter that in who knows where, asking if I can help support an installation that they're still running.
Wow.
And at that point, I pretend like I don't know what they're talking about. Sorry, you have the wrong person. No. And that could be the case here too.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Yeah, they point out that the game Wabbit has possibly, arguably, I'll say, the first female protagonist in a game. And they say, Miss Pac-Man is ruled out because Miss Pac-Man is a human. And You can
That's
argue
a very
that
specific definition. Then they're going.
yes, exactly, yeah. And Score could have, except no one can seem to find an actual arcade cabinet of that. So I don't know anything about the game Score. So that's why they're saying this is could be a significant person in video game history. So if anyone knows Tran, there you go. Or unless it's pronounced really American, Tran. Then,
right, which is almost certainly not. I would
yeah.
assume.
So there you go. Pretty interesting. I think Zach posted this next one, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, it's a site we talked about before, copeti.org, and they do really great write-ups on the hardware architecture of different game systems, and they just did one on the Virtual Boy. If you want to learn about the hardware architecture of the Virtual Boy, it is very advanced, especially because like the way it draws is just not, this isn't like a tile-based system. It's very complicated to me how you would code for this.
Listeners, raise your hand if you didn't know that there were no screens in the Virtual Boy, because I did not know that.
Yeah, I mean, and again, there are tiles. Like, I guess I made a mistake by saying that's not a tile-based system. What I'm saying is, like, the way it draws, it's not... The technique that's using to draw is different than if you were coding, for Super Nintendo or something. It's what it looks... That's what it looks like to me, based on this article. And then it has a bunch of interfaces that I don't think are used or very, very sparsely used.
Yeah.
Serial port for the controller, obviously, but it also is how you power the system through the. If you played a Virtual Boy, have you actually?
Not since it was in stores.
Yeah. So were you aware that the power came through the controller?
No, I was not aware.
Yeah, because the controller had like this giant power brick, but then there was like you could get like a battery pack. 'Cause it was supposed to be a portable system.
Yeah.
But yeah, the controller powered the console. It's really bizarre. It's a really great controller. Like, if I could find a good Virtual Boy to USB adapter, I guess I haven't looked for that yet. It's actually a good controller. Like, I could definitely use this controller for some emulation. I guess Virtual Boy emulation, but also other stuff. It actually makes a good D-pad if you wanted like a Nintendo emulator, and then you could use the other. If you're using like an emulator, for example, it's got a good D-pad and start select, and then you have an extra D-pad which you could map to like, open ROM, save state, whatever.
Is it detachable, or would you have to cut it?
Yeah, it's detachable. Yeah, it's connected to that serial port that they're showing you. But yeah, crazy hardware. This is really good analysis, man. I will probably never attempt to program Virtual Boy.
No. It talks about how it does the stereoscopic. I can't say the word, stereoscopic parallax. Has a bunch of comparative pictures and stuff. Pretty cool. But yeah, I had no idea it was lenses and mirrors in there. I thought it was just a screen with two different lenses, or somehow two screens on top of each other. I don't know. I guess I never thought about it too much.
Just for anyone who's interested, out on the Humble Bundle store, they have NEOGEO Classics Complete Collection for $40 right now.
So yeah, I don't know if this is a good deal or not, because it's not complete at all.
Yeah, that's true. Complete is very a very abused term here. There's only 2 Samurai Showdown games, for example.
Yeah, I mean, I think it has the best 2, but also it has only 4 Metal Slug games. It does have Twinkle Star Sprites. It has Last Blade, 2 King of Fighters, 2 Shock Troopers, Pulsar, Turf Masters, Ironclad. I don't know that one. And Mark of the Wolves, which is probably, I think, the best Neo Geo game. But I don't know. I think I would pass on this one, probably.
I am definitely passing on. I have a PS2 collection, a PlayStation 2 collection that is much, much better.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like if you wait, something better will come out. I feel like you could do more on the Switch too. There's I feel like all these games are on the Switch too. At least a lot of them.
So the folks over at Hyperkin are releasing the RetroN SQ. I don't know where they got that name from, but it is to play Game Boy games, Game Boy Color, and so far limited Game Boy Advance support on the TV. If you don't already have a way to do this.
Yeah, this seems like a solution looking for a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I have the GameCube Game Boy player, and then there's also there's a third-party version of the GameCube Game Boy player made by, it was like Pro Action Replay, like one of those things. I've actually I have that, I've never even hooked it up.
See, I mean, this is nice because it's, dedicated HDMI at 720. You could do 4x3 or 16x9, but I mean, this I would bet is not an FPGA. This is probably just some emulator in there. So, I mean, I'm guessing it doesn't say. So if any of our listeners...
Yeah, typically their stuff is just emulators.
Exactly, yeah. Which I know a few of their consoles don't support the EverDrives, which kind of lame. But I don't know, if you don't have another way to play this stuff, this is pretty good. $75, it's not too bad. It looks like a solid system. Comes out at the end of March in 2 different colors. Comes with 1 USB controller. The controller looks pretty nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Hyperkin actually does make good controllers. I've been happy with, when I bought their systems, the controllers are always good. Looks like I've been on their page in a while. They're also pre-ordering. They have a pre-order for a variation on their RetroN 77. So this is the they made a dedicated Atari 2600 system, and I guess they're doing some other iteration of that too now.
Huh.
Which looks less like a 2600 than the first one did, which is strange. It's a very weird design. What else have they got? Look at other pre-orders they have going right now. And they also are making a Super Nintendo controller again. So that's probably pretty good. Like I said, I like their controllers.
Yeah, they got a lot of products on here now.
Where did we leave off here? Insanely rare Sega arcade cabinet found abandoned in UK field.
Yeah, the Sega R360. I think we recently talked about this because Galloping Ghost got one.
Okay, yeah. The counter. It might be unsalvageable, and then if you look at the pictures, it is clearly unsalvageable.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This thing. I mean, it's more rust than anything. It's pretty sad. I guess this is north of Belfast, just out in the field, middle of a field. If you don't want your arcade cab, just put it on Craigslist. Someone will come put it on Craigslist, throw it in your driveway. Someone's gonna come pick it up.
How to spot bootleg Nintendo games.
Yeah.
I'll give you a hint. If the label says like Final Fantasy III English, it's a bootleg.
Did you get one of those?
But this is a big problem of there's a big problem with like bootleg DS and Game Boy Advance games. I know like the Pokemon games. There's tons of bootlegs on eBay.
Yeah. It's a great video on NintendoLife.com, and it shows you the different labels and how they might be foggier, how to read the serial numbers, how you might want to open up some of the cartridges, and a few other pointers. So not a very long video, about 17 minutes. So if you're a collector and you don't know about this stuff, or if you want to start collecting, this is a great starting point.
Let's see. People have ported Nintendo 64 to DSi. This will also be taken down soon.
Well, so apparently this is from, what do you call it? Like clean room blind code, something like that, where they didn't look at the other code at all.
Oh, okay.
So I guess
Nintendo's going to care about that a lot.
I know. And, But so they started with the PC port of this and now ported it to DS. So, and updated some of the assets, updated the video engine or the graphics engine. And yeah, I guess now this is not the Super Mario 64 DS ported to DSi. This is Super Mario 64 for Nintendo 64 ported to DSi. And the DSi has a bit more memory, I think, than the standard DS. So you can't get it working on just a standard DS. Just not enough memory there. But pretty cool. This project started as kind of a gag and then became serious once they saw how well it worked. So good job for these guys. Am I the only one that kind of feels that Mario 64 is the new Doom? You just port it to everything now?
No, because Nintendo will sue you for porting it. Again, whoever's doing these ports will eventually... Like Doom, they release the source code. That's why it's ported to everything. Mario 64 will be ported to a couple things, and then Nintendo will take it all down. So
it'll be interesting to see. Here's one of the middle sentences. Because the code was created in a clean room environment and not influenced by the data leak, it is technically legal, at least in its bare bone forms. It's not even close to technically legal.
Not even close. I mean, like that's like saying, okay, I'm not going to watch. What's the latest Disney film that's really popular?
Are there films still?
Well, whatever. I'm saying like I'm not gonna watch any Mickey Mouse films, but I'm gonna create this cartoon starring an animated mouse that looks exactly like Mickey Mouse and goes on a sailboat or tugboat or whatever, right? But I'm not gonna be influenced by any of the Mickey Mouse stuff. Mm-hmm. It's not gonna take long for lawyers to show up. That's not how things work. If you wanted to create a clean room game that played like Mario 64, but starred a fictional character that you created in a fictional world, but otherwise mechanically was similar to Mario 64, it's been long established. Like ideas or concepts in video games, right, aren't copyrightable, but the characters in the games are.
Yeah,
it's the same way with movies, right? Like I can make a movie about teens at a summer camp being chased by a maniac, right? But I can't use a character that's actually appeared in one of those movies.
Yeah.
So that whatever they'll learn about it the hard way, I guess.
Yeah. Well, download it now if you want it. More Mario 64 news. Did you get a chance to get through this one? It's kind of funny.
I don't even understand this article.
Okay, so I had to read this article twice. This is on Hackaday. Cosmic Ray flips bit assisting Mario 64 speedrunner. So it sounds like, Cosmic Ray might be some, cool term for something on the internet. No, they're actually talking about cosmic rays, like neutrinos.
Cosmic Ray sound. Yeah, I was gonna say Cosmic Ray sounds like a guy in Belfast, Maine that I would buy weed from.
Yes. Yeah. So, so what happened in this one speed run? No one's been able to reproduce it, and a lot of people have tried. And what they're saying, what their theory is, and I guess this has happened before, I don't know how they can prove it or not, that a cosmic rays or the most likely other electronical interference somehow flipped a bit in the Nintendo 64 while this guy was speedrunning, which changed the height bit in Mario 64, and it brought him up to a new level that helped him get through much, much faster.
Or he hacked it.
I don't think so. I mean, I don't think so, because he can't reproduce it. You know what I mean?
Right, but that's exactly the kinds of things I would go through if I had hacked the game and wanted to make it look like I just got really lucky once.
I don't know. They're pretty good about, showing their carts and stuff like that. And the community's pretty tight too. You know what I mean? They're helping each other out, and I really don't think that would be something happening in this. But pretty interesting. Not often we talk about cosmic rays while talking about retro gaming.
That somehow impacted the game in exactly no other ways.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's so
had RAM
random and
corruption,
rare.
but only in this very specific way that benefited you. As opposed to just, like, my experience with RAM corruption is everything crashes.
They talk about other history of this kind of thing, but yeah, very interesting. A lot of long comments in this article. And again, Hackaday is one of the few websites I'll actually read the comments, and they're usually not trash like other websites. And I think we got what, three more here?
People using Microsoft Edge extensions to pirate Nintendo games.
Yeah, they found Super Mario Brothers, Mario 64, and some other retro titles just in some Microsoft Edge extensions, which got taken down. So I wonder how well they ran.
And then last up, we got a couple Grand Theft Auto related stories. So another project that could be taken down is a reverse engineering of Grand Theft Auto 3. Depends. I didn't look at the details of what they did here, so it's possible that this is okay. Wait, repository unavailable due to DMCA takedown.
Ouch.
All right, so let's move on.
Yeah, so that's not available.
Yes. I did see the story yesterday about Metallica not being able to play their own music on Twitch because of DMCA problems.
Yeah.
Which is, of course, ironic because they're the reason we have all these problems.
Yeah. No one feels sorry for them about that.
No.
Well, I mean,
No.
So how do you reverse engineer? I mean, I understand game ports, but what do they mean by reverse engineer? Like, do they just build a game engine that does the exact same thing so you could use the assets and play it?
That would be, like Scum VM.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
And Scum VM obviously is being done in such a way that they aren't getting sued. Now, I don't know. It also maybe the time the game was developed could matter too, because DMCA was what, 1998, something like that? 98, 99. So I think there is some ambiguity about games developed before and after the law.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, it does make sense. That's too bad. I kind of wanted to see what people did with this.
Yeah. Again, I don't really know what they did, but for whatever reason, it got taken down.
Too bad. And then more Grand Theft Auto news. This is barely retro, if retro at all. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas gets a 4.5 gig AI enhanced HD texture pack. So I guess they just used some AI computing, scanned over all the textures, and enhanced them, and you could throw that back into your game. So kind of cool. A lot of people, San Andreas is their favorite. But I think I like Vice City the best.
Yeah, I actually haven't played San Andreas. It's funny. I have the PS4 remake. One of these like PlayStation sales. You could get like all the old Grand Theft Auto games for like $4.99.
Yeah. So
I have them all sitting on my PS4 for, I don't know, whenever I'm in the mood to play them. And I played about half of them. I did, Vice City, and probably I might have done Liberty City Stories and some others, but I haven't done San Andreas yet.
It's a good one. It's much bigger than Vice City, and the characters are very likable.
Right. It's the same map as Grand Theft Auto 5, more or less. It's my understanding.
Okay. I've barely
played. I know the map of 5. And 5 is really big, but there's a lot of like empty space. Like Vice City, there's pretty much everywhere you go, there's a hidden item or something. And Grand Theft Auto 5, there's just nothing anywhere. There's not much point in exploring, really.
Yeah, I haven't played that game since it went on sale the first time, meaning it got discounted for the first time, and then I didn't play it that much. I think I had just got done with GTA 4 at that point, and I was just like, I can't play another one of these yet. And That was like 10 years ago.
Oh yeah, game's 10 years old, I'm sure.
And that is the news.
Yeah.
So we got a topic this week. You wanna preface this one?
Yeah, I should preface it by, if I ever send you a topic suggestion after 10 o'clock at night, go ahead and don't take it seriously.
Was this beer enhanced?
There's a good chance I've been drinking at that point. But we lately, the past couple episodes, we've been talking about fictional games. So games that like exist within another media but aren't real. Mm-hmm. And I said, we could just talk about our favorite ones of those. I don't plan to go into details on any of these.
Well, yeah, and you sent me a website that has pretty much a master list of fake games.
Yes.
So,
well, it's missing 2 from my list.
Nice. You wanna start it out?
Yeah, the first one I wrote down was an honorable mention because it's one I came up with. But I wrote this really terrible Genesis game, and one of the places, it takes place in a mall, and you can go to the arcade, and there's a bunch of arcade games. You can't play any of the arcade games because then I'd have to write like 6 more games. Right, I could barely write one. Like, what chance do I have of doing 5 more that are contained within the other game? Mm-hmm. But you could read the descriptions of the games, and one of the ones they're all sort of spoofs of arcade games at the time, and one of them is a spoof of Narc that I called Crime Bashers, with the description, "Save Chicago from drug dealers and lowlifes." Which sounds like a credible arcade game.
Especially for, the 90s.
So the premise of that game, it's Narc, but you're fighting drug dealers and lowlifes in Chicago.
Nice.
And number 3 on my list, I put Bone Storm, the famous game from The Simpsons that Bart gets in trouble over shoplifting.
Oh, that's where that's from. I was like, I knew I heard of this.
Yes. And it is a Mortal Kombat spoof. Maybe they mentioned Bloodstorm, which is a real game in that episode. So I don't think I can't imagine it's actually based off Bloodstorm. But it's essentially a Mortal Kombat game where you, I guess, fight your opponent and then brutally disembowel them somehow. And then number 2, I wrote, this is from The Onion, an Onion article going all the way back to 2002. And the Onion article is called "Ghost of Christmas Future Taunts Children with Visions of PlayStation 5. So they're showing this to kids, showing kids of 2002 the PlayStation 5. And it's like, yep, here's what your kids are going to be playing while you're working some horrible job. And one of the games in there I like a lot. It's called Sonic Fugue. It stars Sonic, the indigo-colored son of Sonic the Hedgehog. He faces off against Chuckles the Cheetah in Pterodactyl Sky Joust, attempting to earn the ankle rockets he needs to gather the 5 Chaos Sapphires.
It literally sounds like a real Sonic game.
Yes, it does. Now, they got the timing off. This one, they have the PlayStation 5 coming out, I think, in 2016.
Yeah, and how many gigahertz did they say would be, like 14 or something? 45?
The specs on their hypothetical PlayStation 5 from 2002 are pretty absurd here. It's a 2048-bit console, which doesn't even make sense. Because if you understand, hardware, that it's completely nonsensical. 45 gigahertz processor with 2 gig biotexturing. I don't even know what that is. And pretty. It does use a physical media that doesn't exist, though. It doesn't use Blu-rays, so they got that wrong too. But again, you wrote this in 2002.
Yeah.
But it uses an enhanced version of DVD. So that's pretty close to it. It's still Blu-ray. It's still Blu-ray based. The PlayStation 5.
Yeah. Yeah. No reason to update that yet. I was actually surprised they didn't go back to cartridge. That would have been bold.
Yes, and stupid.
I don't know. Nintendo did it.
Yeah. Nintendo did. I guess because it's a portable system. Like, you can't put a CD player in a portable system.
But
So they really didn't have a choice.
But you can actually have...
I mean, I know they did it with the PSP, but I don't still think that was a good idea.
But you can have so much in like an SD card, so much space in an SD card size thing now.
Yeah, it's different. I get that it's different. Like PSP, the games would have been much more expensive, I assume. But if you take the PSP on like a plane and you have headphones on and the person next to you is trying to sleep, like the CD drive is going to wake them and everybody else on the airplane up.
Yes.
And then my number one fictional game that I would like to play in real life, Global Thermal Nuclear War from War Games.
Yeah. Now, someone has come out and made these. Like, that's part of it. Like, at the time, they were fake.
Yes. People have made versions of that game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's pretty funny.
But that's basically, it's a game with text commands and then a map of the world where you just plot what parts of the world you're going to nuke.
Yes. What do I have here? From Aqua Teen Hunger Force, Video Ouija. I thought was a pretty good one. Mm-hmm. Which, there's got to be something like that exists. In Wayne's World, Xantar is an arcade game for the Video Arcade Noah's Arcade about a gelatinous cube eating warriors in a village and their chieftain. And I just love that scene in the movie.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Space Paranoids, obviously from Tran. They, people have come out and made that game now. But it kind of looked cool in the Flynn's arcade.
It's like a Star Wars arcade game, right?
Pretty much, yeah. I forget if it had some kind of shading at all in it or texturing at all, or if it was just wireframe.
I think it was just wireframe, and it was in a cabinet that was clearly the Tron cabinet.
Exactly, yeah. And then a game we talked about, I think last episode or the episode before, The Last Starfighter. Mm-hmm. Now I know there was, something that came out, but that wasn't actually The Last Starfighter. I'm talking about the game that was in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a different game rebranded as The Last Starfighter.
Yeah. And then Bandersnatch from Black Mirror's Bandersnatch on Netflix. Probably my favorite thing that came out on TV in the past, at least 10 years. So have you seen that?
No, I have not.
I highly recommend it. In fact, Jim Minter is in it.
I should. It's definitely on my to-watch list. I just don't watch a lot of TV lately. Mm-hmm. So I guess I should watch. I assume it'll be on Netflix forever. But yeah, I should just find the time to watch that.
It's a great time. Definitely. If you're a drinker, definitely drink while you do it, because it's kind of a game also in itself. I mean, choose your own adventure company, sued them.
Yeah, it's like an interactive. It's like an interactive fiction game.
Yeah, and the way they do it too is after you complete it the first time, you could go back and choose the different ones, so you don't have to go all the way through it. You know what I mean? Very well done. But Bandersnatch is a game in the movie they're creating, and where people are getting murdered.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like something I would like. My stuff to watch backlog is like a mile long. It's longer than my gaming backlog, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely watch more TV than you do. And you get more stuff done in life than I do, so...
Yeah, I know, that's debatable, but...
I'm not saying what you're doing is important. I'm just saying there's more of it that you get done.
That's true. I do a lot of unimportant things. That's definitely accurate.
But yeah, that's our quick little topic we threw together there. Want to do some game club games?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. Mine's up there first. I guess I'll go. So I did Dig Dug. I'd be shocked if anyone listening to this doesn't know Dig Dug, but you play this guy who digs, and you're wearing this nice little spacesuit, and you have this kind of bicycle air pump that you can literally blow up with air, the Puka and the Figar. Puka are these little red guys with goggles, and Fygar are these little dragons that can breathe fire horizontally, not vertically. And so you dig in a little maze-like way, and the object is really to get rid of all the enemies on the screen. It's it's a single screen game. You beat the level, you go to the next screen, and you get more points by there's a few rocks on each level, and so you get more points for getting more enemies squished by rocks at once, and how deep you are when they get squished. Well, how deep they are. So a good way to do it is to kind of dig a tunnel really deep underneath the rock, wait for them to follow you, and then move out of the way of the rock, and it falls on them. And there's 99 levels. Well, there's 99 numbers it counts up to. I'll say that levels kind of repeat after a while, and then it switches over, but your high score keeps going. And it was developed by the same guy that did some Pac-Man stuff. Some what else did he do? Galaxian, I think. And this is a fantastic arcade game. I played the arcade game. It was ported to everything, mostly horribly. We get a few emails about that, but I want to point out the 2600 port is garbage.
Okay.
The
7800 port is really, really good.
Yeah, the 7800 port is really good. There's a Nintendo port that I don't think made to America. I think a lot of people thought it did because it's in their ROM collection.
yeah. No, that was a Japan only release.
Yeah. And it was on, I want to say, dozens of collections over the many decades. But yeah, this is a very well-received game. It's a pretty fun game. The first level or two is pretty easy. Then it ramps up in difficulty pretty quickly. I should also point out that once there's only one enemy left on the screen, he tries to escape, and he tries to escape really quickly. So you kind of have to get up to the top of the screen to get him before he leaves. You don't lose anything but points if that happens. And the only timing in the game is that after a while, the enemies speed up if you don't get them fast enough. And that definitely is difficult. There's also like a fruit or vegetable that you could collect just like in Pac-Man. And yeah, there's some sequels and remakes that aren't great, on in the arcade and on Game Boy and stuff like that. But I would say skip those and just stick to this. And yeah, that's really all I have to say about it. Pretty fantastic arcade game.
Yeah. So this is one of my favorite games. By the way, the character is not named Dig Dug. His name is Taizo Hori. No, his name is apparently a play on the Japanese phrase that translates to "I want to dig."
Ah, okay.
So before someone sends this, we will get like a 5-page email with great detail about the history of the name. Yeah. I'm confident in that. But yeah, I mean, I've played this game a lot. I think it's really easy. I don't really think it gets hard until about like level 10. And of course, there's the whole mechanic. Like, there's a lot of bonus items. Well, there's a bonus item on each stage. There's like a bonus vegetable on each item, which you unlock after dropping 2 rocks. Mm-hmm. You don't have to hit enemies. You just have to drop 2 rocks, and like this vegetable appears that's worth like a lot of points.
Yeah.
Compared to the other things. And of course, the score matters. Like, the deeper you are when you kill an enemy, the more points you get for that. Mm-hmm. And if you ever watch like a high score run of this game, it's crazy the way they do it, because you get points for like every square that you dig. So when people are playing to try and set like Guinness, world records or Twin Galaxy records or whatever, they leave 2 enemies alive because, as you mentioned, 1 escapes, and then they dig out the entire board.
Yeah, it's crazy
because there's no bonus. There's no time bonus. Mm-hmm. So you dig out the entire board and then lure the last 2 enemies down to the bottom part, and then finish them both off.
Yeah. It
looks really boring. Yeah. And what I like even better though is the Dig Dug arrangement, which is on Namco Museum. It's really a different game. I mean, it's mechanically Dig Dug, but there's new enemies. There's, similar music. The music is sort of inspired on the original game, but it's different. Just there's a lot of new enemy types. There's boss stages even, and it's a really really fun game. And if you have any of the Namco Museum collections, you probably have it, and I would really recommend playing that one. It has a 2-player collaborative mode too.
I'll check that out. You did remind me that a few games of its era did the same thing, where the music only happens while you're walking.
Yeah.
And it never changes, so you hear it a lot. But it's not that annoying. There's... I'm looking right now, there's some weird Nintendo DS sequel called Dig Dug Digging Strike.
Yeah, that one's not very good.
Yeah.
So in terms of ports, like the NES port is good. The like little miniature cabinet you can buy at Target, I have one of those. Mm-hmm. That's just the NES ROM inside.
Okay.
I don't know why they don't use the arcade ROM on these. It's the NES ROM, and it's perfectly fine. The Atari 7800 version is one I really like a lot. I thought they did that very, very well. Mm-hmm. And I know like we have some feedback later about the Apple II version, so I'll wait on that. I definitely played the Intellivision version before, and it's fine. Not awesome, just okay. And it's better than the 2600 version, but that's not really a high bar. Looking at screenshots of the VIC-20 version, it looks awful.
Yeah, it's just horrible. Now, I'm pretty sure did this come out on Coleco? I want to say it was only a prototype, but...
I don't see an official Coleco release, no.
That's surprising, because Coleco was the 7800 before the 7800.
Yeah. There's a Game Boy version that looks like it has scrolling.
Yeah, that's a strange game.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to try that.
Let's hop over to your game.
Yeah, so I did Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego. I was playing this recently on, again, we're not sponsored by Target, but on the Target handheld. Mm-hmm. It's just a dedicated game that plays nothing but Carmen Sandiego. It does let you save your game on it, though, which is kind of a cool feature. It seems like it's playing maybe the Apple, I don't know if it's Apple II GS or early PC port, but it's definitely a very early port of the game. It's good, definitely a good version. But then just for fun, I played it on PC Engine CD, because for whatever reason I have the PC Engine CD version, and it is in English. It has Japanese and English text in the game. I mean, it was an American game, right? It's made by MEC. The M in MEC stands for Minnesota. Clearly, it's an American company. So the Japanese port, they just left the English text in and offered a alternate Japanese translation, which is pretty cool. So you can go back and play the English version in there. And that one has kind of cool music. Like when you get to a new city, because it has Red Book audio, it has like a little musical clip that's in, a style associated with the part of the world you're visiting. Overall, I mean, this is a pretty easy game. You don't have to be a really great geography expert to figure out the clues. Maybe, some countries don't exist anymore or have changed a little bit, but overall, you're going to get through it just fine.
Yeah, the original did come with a manual that helped you learn and helped you get through the game. So that if you find one of those, it'll help you for maybe the countries that don't exist anymore, or change their flag color or something like that.
Yeah, there are countries that have changed their flag and that kind of stuff that will trip you up a little bit. But overall, I never really had a problem, with what country are they talking about? I'm definitely not a geography expert, I wouldn't say, but there's never been a time where I couldn't figure out what country they were talking about, and I had to go look it up. Currency, that's one of those, is there are some of the clues use currency, they were exchanging their money for lira or whatever, right? And now everyone's on, the euro. So you have to remember what European countries used before the euro in some cases. But that's about it. I don't know, what's your impression?
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty good game for its time. I think I had it on the Apple II. Now, as I talk about all the time, I had an Apple II GS, but I think I just had an Apple II version. I'm not sure if there was a port that used all the 2GS, graphics and sound, but Like I do see on Moby Games, they have a listing for Apple II GS, but it looks exactly the same from the screenshots as, oh no, it does look a little better, I guess. So there you go. It's definitely sharper graphics. So there you go. But my guess is what you have is the Apple II one, or does it look the same as this?
I'm actually trying to compare. It's the Apple II or it's sure. So the Target handheld one looks like the Apple II GS one.
Okay.
But it could be an early like I said, it could just as easily be the DOS version. The DOS and Apple II GS version look pretty close.
I have a feeling that there's more than one DOS version, because I played a DOS version that was really, really primitive. It didn't look anything like this. I mean, I feel like this game came out 100 times.
Oh yeah. I mean, like every 16-bit home console got a port too.
How did the PC Engine port look compared to like this Apple II GS port?
Looks good. In some ways it looks better, I think. Mm-hmm. The one issue is the text is really slow. It draws really, really, really slow on the PC Engine. Like you will go nuts watching that text draw.
Huh. Well, cool. Yeah, this is a pretty good game for its time. It's probably one of the best edutainment games ever. I don't have too much to say about it other than be sure to get a warrant before you try to arrest someone.
Right. So you have to enter the clues about like hair color and other things. So that's why, but once you get the warrant, then you don't need to talk to every location in town. You can get through the game much faster. If you get the warrant early on, then you can just you can if you can get to the next city from just one clue, you only need one clue.
But isn't it if you don't get the warrant and you try to arrest them, then you can't arrest them?
Right. So basically, until you get the warrant, you have to, when you go to a new city, you have to go to like all 3 locations, because you have to still find clues about the person. But once you've got the warrant, you don't need to do that anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Cool. Any closing thoughts on this one?
No. Just I assume everybody's tried it.
What are you going to play for the next episode?
That's a good question. I go with Side Pocket, classic pool game. I guess it was an arcade game, although I don't really remember it being in the arcade. And it has a few different ports. I think it's a Game Boy port even.
I never really go for pool games, but it's probably because whenever I go out to the bar with buddies or something, whenever someone wants to play pool, my answer is no. Because when I go out to a pub, I just kind of want to sit there. I don't want to. If I'm going to be up and doing things, I'm going to be up and doing things. I'm not going to be playing pool. Or if I go to a pub, I just kind of want to sit there.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever played pool in a bar either.
I don't know.
I'm going to go with I definitely haven't.
Cool. What are you going to play this on?
I don't know. Probably Genesis, but it looks like it's got a lot of other ports, so we'll see.
Cool. I'm going to go with Twinkle Star Sprites. It's a great kind of cute 'em up overhead shooter. If any of our listeners haven't played this game, I highly suggest it. It's very fun, pretty addicting. NEOGEO Dreamcast, and it's actually for sale on Steam right now. Or you could get that $40 Humble Bundle, but I think you'll get a better deal on Steam right now. And if any of our listeners play any of these games, please email us your thoughts. Email at retrogameclub.net. That is not if you just play these games. If you have any thoughts about topics, about retro news, if you have any projects going on, if you have any ideas for interviews, if you just want to tell us something retro, email at retrogameclub.net, or on Facebook, facebook.retrogameclub.net, and Twitter at RGC Podcast. And I'll grab this first email here from Super Retro 64. He loves our new music. We used to have an actual song that I recorded a long time ago as our music, but now we're just using kind of bumpers that Zach edits for us. Thank you, Zach. And he played Mario Sunshine a few years ago, and he never finished it. A lot of those stages set in the void were just too frustrating, and I want to say yes, absolutely. Hopefully he'll be able to finish it on the Switch. He doesn't like leaving games unfinished. If those Atari 5200 games that Hugh mentioned last episode are still up for grabs, he would like them.
Yeah, sure. I still have them. They're in a box with them. I was kind of going through looking at other games that I don't want, and there's a couple more that I don't know what I'm gonna do with yet. The problem is so here's how I used to get rid of games, because eBay is such a pain. If I have a game that's not really worth anything and I just want to get rid of it, my kid's school used to have a winter. They call it the Holiday Bazaar. Have I ever talked about this?
No, I don't think so.
So my kids go to this school for hippies, and they do this thing where you're supposed to donate household items you want to get rid of to the Holiday Bazaar, and then it's just they kind of group it into different sections, and then everything there is $1, right? Mm-hmm. And the kids are supposed to go so this is before winter break, the kids can go and buy up to 7 items for family members. Mm-hmm. So you understand the concept, big flea market, everything's $1, and it's all weird household items that people have donated. And really, I've gotten rid of a lot of games through there. These are not again, not AAA games. I bought a box of games and there's 3 junky ones in there that I'm never going to play. So I'll just donate them to that, and then the kids buy them at this recycled, event and give them to their uncle who's oh, cool, Dora for GameCube, So I got another box, but of course we didn't have it this year because obvious reasons. So next year I'm going to have a pretty giant box with probably games that I won't get any more than a couple bucks for on eBay anyways. And the 5200 games were in danger of going there. Oh. But it's fun. I've actually picked up a couple, or my kids have picked up some interesting things there. So they've gotten me some games there. So I have a few, I have some PlayStation 2 game, which is about racing semi-trucks. I wasn't aware that was a game, but things like that, they'll pick up there.
Nice. Well, here, copy and paste his address and his email address out of this so I could delete it out of our show notes and not make it public.
Oh, yeah. It'll be a year before I mail these things, but okay. I'll do that right now.
And he has one last thing that he'd like to thank us for sharing that Zelda Beavis and Butthead mashup that we posted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's still the best thing I've watched in a long time.
It's incredible.
But I've already established I don't watch a lot of stuff, so there you go. Nice. Majors writes in about a couple topics. What do we got here? Oh, buying multiple copies of the same game. He says he's done that for Sega Rally for Saturn, because apparently there's a few different versions. The Japanese version has some differences, and there's a Netlink version. Huh. I forgot that there was a separate version for if you had the Saturn modem. That's a topic that would be interesting to explore. That is such a niche item, the Saturn Netlink.
Yeah.
We talked about what other games would be good for jamifying, and we talked about hockey, and mentions that there was Hit the Ice, which is kind of like that, and a sort of unknown Williams game called NHL Open Ice Challenge, which no one remembers.
I don't
remember that. Do you remember that?
Nope.
And that not knowing the players wouldn't matter as long as it had fighting, which I agree with. If you could just make a hockey fighting game, and people would probably be into it. We talked about the Wii logos, the unused Wii logos, and one of the fonts apparently is used in a. Let's look at the article. It popped out. I'm not familiar with this game. Have you seen the game Watermelons? Is this a safe for work query?
I have no idea.
I have to see the image. There's an image that we're going to put in the show notes.
Yeah. While you're reading, I'll try to find that for us. Yeah.
Doom running on everything. He mentions that there's still not a Doom port for the Lynx, which that is pretty shocking to me. I am legitimately surprised there's not a Link's port of Doom. It would run at like 3 frames per second, but it would still be awesome. The topic of inventing a game as a child. He drew mock-ups of a game based on Fantastic Voyage, where you flew through blood vessels and shot viruses and blood clots. So there you go. This sounds like Microsurgeon, except Microsurgeon was 2D. Have you played Microsurgeon?
No.
Definitely, that is a definite. You need the manual to play a game. It just because it uses a lot of buttons on the Intellivision, and it's Intellivision exclusive, and it's a very it comes across as like you're just flying through a body shooting cholesterol and viruses and stuff, but there's a little more going on. It looks visually looks sort of like Tron Mesotron a little bit. I don't know if that's a good endorsement or not. Where was I? Fire and Ice is indeed a sequel to Solomon's Key, and it was called Solomon's Key 2 outside of the US. Which I should have Googled beforehand. Donkey Kong music in the Super Nintendo, in the Super Mario 64 intro, it's very similar to the Have You Played Atari jingle during the Jaguar boot, which I have probably heard 100 times and did not make that connection to. The knockoff Mario toys, it seems like they were, I think I called them Mega Blocks, and I probably did, but I think they're made by K'NEX, K''Nex, which I never had. It was a little bit after my time for buying those sort of things, right? I mean, when I was a kid, we had Legos and we had blocks, the most uninspired toy ever. And there was something called Capsella. Was that a toy when we were kids?
Were those clear ball things?
The clear ball. I think you might be a little too young for them, maybe not.
Yeah, they had gears in them and stuff.
Yeah, and you'd like connect them to make stuff.
Those were awesome. I had ones that would float, and you'd make like submarines or boats with them and stuff.
Yeah. That's not in the email. I'm just thinking Capsello.
Those were cool.
Maybe do Minecraft-themed thing with that now. So Demo Unit Virtual. So like me, Majors worked in a game store in the same era. And when they got rid of demo units, there was usually a random drawing for employees that wanted it, unless the manager just took it for themselves. And he was lucky enough to win the Virtual Boy one. It was not too crusty because customers really didn't want to try it. And he got Vertical Force for it, and then he ended up, he did not keep it long. It's the short version. I still have my Virtual Boy. I don't know why. WDC was, he mentioned he put in for his initials, and it's because it's for Wadoka, which is the company that his company that brings arcade cabs and retro consoles to events, which I've seen but forgot about. And also he's a big fan of the CDI Tetris soundtrack and has it on his phone.
Oh, nice. Cool. Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you, Majors.
Yeah, I have a lot of game soundtracks on my phone. There's also a comment somewhere here about Spotify and video game albums. And I was thinking about saving it for later because I was thinking of talking about video game soundtracks on Spotify at some point. There's basically one or two developers that have like all their soundtracks on Spotify. And then everything else is like, some dude trying to do a remake of it. Like, it's kind of pathetic how few game soundtracks are on Spotify. That's what I was getting at. Like, Nintendo could very easily release all their stuff and probably make a few nickels. But it just seems like developers are not interested in releasing their game soundtracks on Spotify for whatever reason.
Yeah, that's strange.
I mean, but if you think about like how many people have video game music on in the background when they're like working, it's a pretty big number.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of developers that do that, and like if you're just gonna if it's on Spotify, then you get not a ton, but you get some money for people playing it versus getting nothing when they just download it.
Exactly. Yeah. Or they listen to it on a YouTube playlist, which someone gets money from, but not the developer.
Yeah, not Nintendo.
Yeah. Cool, Majors. Thank you for that email. Stanley writes in talking about gross demo units at game stores. He played a Virtual Boy demo unit at electronic boutiques and Sears back in the 90s, and it was just horrifyingly gross. Yeah, those things would get slimy.
Yeah.
And what's Game.com? That's something I have.
I have one of those. Yeah, it's a handheld system, a portable system. I have one.
Okay, I didn't know what those were.
I found it in the basement of an estate sale. Well, hold on. You can keep talking. I'll grab my Game.com.
Oh, nice. Stanley goes on to say that there was a display demo unit in a toy store in Northeast Pennsylvania, and it might be an implanted memory of sorts, but it was probably gross as well.
All right. This is the Game.com. So, don't know why it's got .com in the name.
That was hip.
It's a black and white system, cartridge-based system. Does not have any games you would ever want to play. It was made by Tiger, as it says here on the box. Very interesting for people who can't see what I'm doing.
It has a little stylus.
It's really noisy to open. Could put it next to another system for scale, but it is a big honking handheld.
Oh, the screen isn't, but it is.
Yeah. The screen is small. I only have the pack-in game. Look at that. I didn't even remember what came in the box. I should make sure this doesn't have like old batteries in it still.
Yeah.
But the stylus is also big. The stylus is like the size. It's not quite Sharpie size, but it's a pretty hefty stylus. And I don't believe it has any kind of network connectivity, but I haven't really played it too much. It has a bunch of holes. You can plug different things into it. I think this must be for AC, headphones, or something. I don't know. I bought it for $5 and really have not done anything with it. I think whoever was selling this at an estate sale thought it was like a calculator or like a personal assistant. I think they thought it was one of those like personal assistants.
Yeah, like a Palm Pilot or something, yeah.
Yeah, but no, like remember even before Palm Pilot, like the little junky LCD personal assistants that could do like two things?
Yeah, it was mostly a Rolodex and that was about it.
Yeah, and those things, you see those at like, estate and garage sales for $1 all the time because nobody wants those.
Yeah.
What's interesting, though, which I guess I hadn't noticed about the Game.com until now, is it has 2 cartridge slots. Which is, I guess, kind of neat if you don't want to switch games. Maybe I should buy a game for this. I only have Lights Out, the pack-in game.
Or maybe a peripheral will go into one or something.
No, I think it's you can switch games. It says cartridge 1, cartridge 2.
That's so strange.
Yeah. I know I could get like $100 for this on eBay. It's really dumb how much people want for this. And it's a very hard thing to search for. Yeah, okay, Game.com. Yeah, it's weird. The games, like I could get Williams Arcade factory sealed for $10 for this thing. So like the games aren't expensive, but I think the system is. Let me look here. Yeah, people want, this is insane. So this thing here, the exact thing I have right now, the lowest eBay listing is $110.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm not going to sell it. I'm probably going to go buy this Williams Arcade collection for $9.95 and start playing. I just make sure it works first. All right. So anyways, back to Game.com.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Back to Stanley's email. And also, I think talking about games that you've made but maybe have never finished or something. We talked about something in a past episode. He made Attack of the Killer Stick People 1 through 12 on this bizarre old Mac OS 7 software called World Builder, which sounds really familiar. They're basically point-and-click adventure games that loosely based on Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. None of them were good. Yeah. Very cool. I would love to see those. But yeah, World Builder sounds really familiar. So cool.
Yeah, it's a game development tool of some sort.
Yeah.
I've heard of it.
Stanley, thanks for the email.
Sorry, I'm fidgeting with my Game.com here.
You want to take this next one from Zach?
Yeah, that's a better use of my time. So he was talking about the Apple II port for Dig Dug, And he found an article that ranked it the 10th worst game for that machine in 1983. And the Atari 8-bit version was the 4th worst for that platform for, quote, not living up to consumer expectations.
Sounds about right.
So he's referencing a gaming magazine called Saint Game, or is it Street Game? It's ST period game. I would call that Saint Game. What would you call
That's
that?
what I thought as well. But now that you say street, I don't know anymore. There is an image lower, but it doesn't. It still just says st.game with no space.
Computer gaming for the irreverent. Boy, okay, hold on. Let's go.
It's another rabbit hole here.
Game. No, this is a bad search because this brings up Atari ST games.
State game. No.
State game.
No, that's not it.
All right, well, whatever. So, or maybe this is dedicated to the Atari ST, and that's what I messed up.
Oh, ST game, maybe.
Maybe, yeah, it seems too easy now. In any case, he was trying to figure out why the Apple II port looks so much worse than he remembers, and found on YouTube different gameplay videos where they all look different. Some look better than others. He had a green monochrome monitor, and that did not show the weird artifacting that you would see on a color machine, on an NTSC color machine. So perhaps the grayscale version of the game looks better than the color version. And I could buy that. You know, like sometimes when they colorize a black and white film, it looks way, way worse than the original.
Yeah.
Also suggests the 7800 port of Dig Dug. So, which I think is great. And, oh yeah, another confirmation that Fire and Ice is indeed Solomon's Key 2.
Nice.
So yeah, and then magazine clip, which we could post this on social media. We put up this episode if people want to read this Saint Gaming magazine. I'm thinking, well, this is a separate magazine called Atari ST Gamer. I don't know what this magazine is.
Yeah, this is going to be a deep rabbit hole we go down.
Is that it for email? Did I miss anything?
No, that's it.
Get the
social media is
feedback real
next.
quick? Yeah.
So, what was your first video game experience? Arcade, console, handheld, computer, otherwise? I'm going to answer for myself first, but I distinctly remember the first time I saw Donkey Kong at a local restaurant. I think other than that, my cousin had an Apple II. I think an Apple IIe probably. And also when I was young, probably when I was like 4 to 7 or 8 years old, my mom worked at a KB toy store, so we got a 2600 from there, and all the cheap games at the time because of the video game crash. Yeah, what was your first video game experience that you can remember?
It was definitely Donkey Kong arcade game in the grocery store.
Nice. Someone writes in on social media saying Space Quest on his dad's 386. He was 4 years old. And what else? Mario Brothers on NES. And there's also a mention of where in North Dakota is Carmen Sandiego. You said you have that, right?
No, I don't have it. I've played it. You can play it on archive.org. So that is a game chartered by the North Dakota Department of Education back in the 80s. So obviously, they're neighbors of Minnesota. And they charted a version about North Dakota geography. And it's actually pretty good. I mean, it's the same game. It has as many locations, just they're all in North Dakota. So you pretty much have to have Wikipedia open when you're playing it. Because it talks about, landmarks or industries. I mean, things that you like. I don't know North Dakota very well. I don't even know if I've driven through it. And not surprisingly, the state has not changed much since the 1980s.
Nice.
It's not like it's like, well, this, like I get there are some kind of boom towns in North Dakota because of oil fields. So there are definitely some cities in North Dakota that are much bigger than they were in the 1980s. Like they were literally nothing in the 1980s, and now they are not. But a lot of these landmarks are things that just don't ever change. It's some large geographic feature, or it's tribal land, or something that has just really like hasn't changed in a long time. And like the most populated city in North Dakota was the same as it is today as it was 40 years ago, which is true for most states, right? I mean, I'm trying to think of states where the most populated city has changed since 1980. And there's not a lot. I mean, like even Michigan, like Detroit maybe has had a big population loss, but it's still the biggest city in Michigan.
Exactly,
right?
Yeah, so I don't think that changes very fast.
Yeah. So, you go and play on archive.org and you'll see. Like I said, it is really, really hard.
Yeah.
It is really hard without Wikipedia, because you really have to know small towns in North Dakota pretty well to get through it.
I'd like to shout out that Robert from Facebook was the one that posted that. And yeah, he's pretty interactive with us on Facebook, and I think Twitter too. So I'd just like to thank him for that. It's definitely appreciated. And there's a few suggestions in here, like where in Carmen Sandiego is, or where in Walmart is Carmen Sandiego? That's a good one.
Yeah. Where in Walmart, you said? Yeah, that's a good one. Where in the universe, where in Mall of America, so on, yeah.
Where in San Diego is Carmen Sandiego?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, really, if they would open source like the 2GS version of that game, and just let anybody make a home version, that would be great.
Like a where in maker?
Do one for like every place. Yeah, every little town and state could have a version. Why not?
Yeah, I like it. Well, cool. I think this has turned into a pretty long episode. I think.
It was longer than I expected, but a lot of little weird rabbit holes and stuff.
Love it.
I think I will try mygame.com now.
Nice. Let us know how it goes.
I will.
All right.
So thanks for listening.
Yeah, thank you.